Anna, what are your first impressions of Ecuador?
So for me, Ecuador, it was like stepping off a plane and just being at home. Everything was so luscious and green and beautiful. The one thing that did really stand out was the altitude. Like, it literally took my breath away. I probably should have gone to the gym a few more times.
What's the first thing you noticed when you arrived at Tessa's farm?
So Tessa's farms for me were just like completely mind-blowing. Remember, like, I've worked with Tessa's flowers for years now. So to get to see like the grassroots of where they came from, like, it blew my mind. Like the size and scale, the people that worked there, like the time that each individual like step takes and how important it is in the process. It's yeah, it was a experience that I'll never forget.
What's the most breathtaking thing about seeing acres of roses?
Seeing acres of roses, like, that for me was by far the most breathtaking thing I've seen. Like, I love flowers, roses are my favourite. So to see acres and acres of them and like how tall they are, like it was breathtaking.
If you could only design with one flower for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It'll always be a rose, and probably the Playa Blanca rose. I feel like that's really close to my heart.
Early morning flower market run or late night bouquet making?
I've got to say late night bouquet making. I mean, I don't mind an early morning, but late night bouquet making with a little glass of champagne, like, love.
How did the blonde and the blooms come to life?
This is interesting. So for me, flowers have always been like a really big part of my life, and I grew up in the English countryside. I stayed a lot with my nana and granddad. They lived in a really little town, and it's not a town, we lived in a little village in a cottage, and we used to go and pick wildflowers and press them in these really like old flower presses that have been handed down through generations. So that's where like the love of flowers began, and my granddad was an incredible artist. So I guess it came from there, and then I worked as an apprentice being 16, and I just loved it. I loved that early morning start, the way the shop used to smell when I used to walk in, like, I'll never forget it. And I always wanted to have my own business, so it came from there really, and I developed that into specialising more in weddings and events.
What's the philosophy behind your floral designs?
So my philosophy, you know, this is about being unique, authentic, and one of a kind. Like, I set out to make waves in the industry for creating different, like, bespoke designs that nobody had before. And I'll always stick with that. It's truly about art, and I live and breathe it.
3 words that define your aesthetic?
So 3 words, I would say clean, minimalist, and without a doubt, blonde.
What's the secret to creating an effortlessly elegant arrangement?
I think the secret to creating something that's effortlessly elegant is not to overthink it. Like, it comes naturally as you are creating it. Like, every piece of work that I've done that I've really, really loved, it just flows. It's like a natural flow that happens when you are making it.
What's the most extravagant wedding you've worked on?
This is really hard because we've worked on some like incredible weddings, and for me it's not about how big they are or how small they are. Like, it's just something that's a little bit out there. And I think the one that stands out for me is our trip to Paris with my really good friend Natalie Hamilton, photography. Shout out to her. And we, well, 2 things. So we climbed to the very top of a 9-story building to shoot, and did florals on the rooftops of Paris. And then secondly, we drove out to a chateau just on the outskirts of Paris, and it was owned by the Rothschilds. Beyonce actually filmed one of her music videos there, so it was incredible to like be in the same room as the Queen.
What's a floral trend you're loving right now?
I've always loved reflexed roses. Like, they've been a big thing of ours since we started. I feel like everybody is kind of on that trend and hype at the minute, so I love that. I'm loving that blend of like flowers and veggies as well. I just like really interesting little details, especially for tablescapes. It's how you can bring like really simple things into the mix, but they just give like a really big impact.
And one you wish would disappear?
Again, this is hard because, you know, everyone's got their own taste and I fully accept that. But I would say the higher in silk flowers. For me, like, I am so about creating something bespoke and unique for a couple. Like, I truly believe if you're spending a lot of money on your big day, you want something that is so special for you, and I just don't feel that you can get that when you're using the same thing again and again.
What's the most underrated flower in your opinion?
Probably Alstroemeria, especially after visiting Tessa's farms and seeing the quality of the Alstro that they grow. They're amazing, and I'm really looking forward to creating a design which is just Alstro. I feel like they need a big comeback.
What makes Ecuadorian roses so special?
I would say it's a mixture of things. So the climate, the nutritious soil, and do you know what? Secret, it's a secret. And I'm not sharing it.
Do you have a favourite Tessa rose?
So my favourite Tessa rose, I think I said previously, is the Playa Blanca. So it's this rose, which is just behind me.
If you could name a rose after yourself, what would it be called?
Blonde, of course.
Soft pastels or bold and dramatic tones?
Our brand is very neutral, but I would say that colour doesn't define us. Like, you'll notice if you follow our Instagram feed, for example, this year you can see that we've gone from just doing like neutrals through to really deep and powerful reds. We had an incredible wedding in February where we just purely used red roses against like a white backdrop, and that was really, really beautiful, one of my favourites. And then we've had another where we've done like emerald greens. So yeah, this is just about bringing things to life, bringing an idea to life.
What's your signature flower for bridal bouquets?
Our signature flower, again, I feel like this is going to be boring now, but yeah, it's definitely the rose that's behind me. So it's the Playa Blanca white rose. That's the signature. I'd say that's our most popular. Second to that would be Quicksand, which is like a beautiful muted pink rose.
What's your dream floral installation?
This is tricky because like we've been really fortunate so far to have travelled to many different places. Do you know what? I'm going to say I really, really want Blonde to be on Billionaire Blooms. So for those of you that haven't heard of it, it's a TV programme in the UK where they go and shoot behind the scenes of like some incredible florist work in some of the most beautiful hotels in the UK and venues in the UK. I would really love to be a part of that and showcase some of our work and choose something that's really out there in terms of design.
What's the most unexpected floral request you've ever received?
So I guess it's not unexpected, but when we first started doing weddings, I probably underestimated the time it takes to do certain things. And one of our first big weddings, I worked like a good 32 hours straight. That was a little bit unexpected, but we're here till the bitter end.
What's something people don't realise about being a florist?
So being a florist on the outside, so if you check out our Instagram, for instance, you're going to see like a boatload of really glamorous photos, and the end result is always incredible, but it's not always as glam as it seems. Let me tell you, my nails don't always look like this. It's very, very hard work, and you've really, really got to love it to keep going and press on with it. It's very rewarding at the end, but it's very high pressure.
What's the biggest challenge when designing for a wedding?
I would say the biggest challenge when designing for a wedding is understanding like the venue restrictions and the time scales. It's easy to get really excited and want to do all of these things, but if you are really restricted in terms of time, that can massively impact what you are actually capable of doing. So I'd say, yeah, that's probably one of the things.
If you could arrange flowers for any historical figure, who would it be?
So I would naturally say Marilyn Monroe. However, my heart's telling me to go for Henry VIII because he had 6 wives, so that's 6 royal weddings. That's something that I can't miss out on.
What's the most luxurious element you've ever incorporated into an arrangement?
So at Blonde, we really love fabrics. Like my mom she's always been well into her fabrics. So we use a lot of like velvets, Indian silks. I would say they're really, really bringing that luxury edge right now.
Do you prefer fresh flowers or dried flowers?
Always fresh flowers. Like that's always going to be my preference forever and ever and ever. Just because you can't beat the colours, the scent, and the fact that they're living, like they have a heartbeat.
What's your favourite flower market in the world?
Ooh, favourite flower market. I feel like they're all equally beautiful. Like I love Covent Garden Flower Market. The one in Paris, that was incredible as well. So far I would say on a par, Covent Garden and Paris.
What's the best city for floral design inspiration?
So I would say, I don't have a favourite city as such, but I would say I'm heavily influenced by Eastern European florists. I think they're always pushing the boundaries, and the work that I see is very, very modern, and it's something that sort of lights me up a little bit. So yeah, I would say inspiration from there.
If your floral aesthetic was a fashion brand, which one would it be?
Dior.
What's one non-floral element you love adding to arrangements?
So I briefly touched on fabrics earlier. I think I also touched on like vegetables and fruits, but it could be anything. Like we've recently added oyster shells, so like things from the sea. Anything that's got texture or just something unique about it, I think it could be added.
What's your go-to flower market snack?
Or chocolate.
What's a skill every florist should master?
As a florist, we can all go to college, we can all learn basic technique and principles, but the thing that's really gotten me to where I am today, it's your inner artist. Like, it is about art. We're not all creating the same things, we're all on our own journey, and it's fully about like honing that inner artist.
What's one piece of advice you always give to brides?
So I would say it's about being true to themselves. I'm always asking them the kind of look and vibe that they want to create, and a lot of the time I'll be asked, what's really important. And I think when you look back on like photographs, for instance, you've got to get the right photographer. Your photographs are going to capture those florals as well. So it's about choosing something that you are going to look back on and it's always going to be classy. Like it's not just on trend for now and you're going to cringe at it later. It's got to be this like thing that brings class to the day.
What's the best advice you've ever received and the worst?
So I take my own advice and a little bit of advice from my mum, but don't tell her. So worst advice, aim small. No, we're aiming big, otherwise we might as well go home.
What's the most rewarding part of your job?
The most rewarding part is always, by far, at the end of a wedding, when you've done it and you've seen the look on the bride's face and the groom's face when they see what you've created and you've brought their vision to life. And not just in weddings, but like for flowers, it's really a part of people's life. Like you are touching people's life all the time, whether it be for like weddings, engagements, birthdays, funerals in sympathy, or just little like I'm thinking of you. Like it's really, really nice to be a part of people's emotions.
If flowers could talk, what would roses say?
They would say, "I love you, Anna."
The one flower you personally don't love, but clients always request?
Do you know what? I don't have a flower that I don't love. I feel like there's a flower that a lot of people don't love, that I love, and it could be a bit of a swear word in the industry, but I love a carnation. I feel like bring back the carnations. You'll see them in some of our work over the next year. I think they're the most hated flower on the block.
What song would be the soundtrack to your design process?
Work, 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 work.
Have you ever had a flower emergency at an event?
No, but I've definitely fallen off a ladder. Is that equivalent to a flower emergency?
What's one flower you wish more people used in arrangements?
Again, I think I'm going to flip it back to Alstro, especially if you saw the size of the Alstro that Tessa grow. They're really interesting flowers, so and you don't see a lot of them. So yeah, I'd like to see that.
If you weren't a florist, what would you be?
I would always be an artist. It's the only thing that keeps me alive and free.
How do you unwind after a big event?
I love a Prosecco. Yeah, just literally chilling with my baby and my dog.
What's the best way to make flowers last longer?
So the best way is keeping them away from like direct sunlight, making sure that you clean the water every single day, trimming the stems on a 90-degree angle, and half an aspirin in the water. A little tip if you've got no flower food, there you go.
How do you balance minimalism with romance in your designs?
Do you know what? A single red rose. If you love someone, a single red rose is that, like, it's a very impactful statement.
Where would you rather design flowers? Royal wedding or high fashion runway show?
High fashion runway show. I'm just interested in something that's a little bit out there, a little bit weird and wonderful, and I feel like high fashion runway would give you that.
What's the biggest misconception about florists?
No, I can just remember when it was actually my mum suggested about doing a floristry course, and I don't know, I feel like as an industry, it's probably from an outsider looking in, it does seem a little bit dated. And I think that is a really big misconception. And I came here to basically teach people to do flowers in a very different way, like to make it more fun, make it more accessible, and get younger generations involved and like interested, wanting to create art through floral.
If you could transport flowers from any country to your studio instantly, where would they be from?
Well, they'd always be from Tessa, from Ecuador. They're just the best in the world, and I've worked with them for a long, long time, and I just don't think you can beat them, especially the roses.
What's the next big thing for the Blonde and the Blooms?
So we are about to head out literally tomorrow morning to New York and Mexico to do a really interesting wedding for a beautiful couple. So we've got that going on. Obviously I'm manifesting being on Billionaire Blooms, so that's going to happen at some point. And yeah, watch this space. So our business will start to change a little bit. A lot of my followers will know that I'm really heavily interested in like the design element, so there'll be a lot more of like a design package available for couples, like design and planning. So yeah, it's going to really start to change over the next year or two.
Favourite part of visiting flower farms in person?
So my favourite part, yeah, was just literally walking through like the rows and rows of roses. It's heaven.
And finally, what's one word that describes how you feel surrounded by flowers?
Home. Like truly home.